It's All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Audie Cornish.
And I'm Robert Siegel. More and more, defendants in the U.S. justice system are paying the costs of their own trials and sentences. And the poor can face tough penalties, even jail time, if they can't cover their fees. That's what an NPR investigation of the criminal justice system reveals, and it's something found in all 50 states. It's a symptom of governments.
Our story started with a simple question. I'd done an earlier story arguing that a man had been falsely convicted of a murder in Texas. When he got out of prison, he had all this court-imposed debt to pay, including the daily fee to rent and electronic monitoring bracelet. The court ordered him to wear it around his ankle until he got a new trial. This man had been in prison for 9 years. He had no income, no savings. So I wondered, how was he expected to pay for this? It turned out these user fees for court services are common, even for things that are constitutionally required, like for a public defender. On my first reporting trip, I met Tom Barrett in Georgia. He didn't have the $50 fee to hire a public defender, but it was a mistake to go to court without one. Even though his offense was small, he got caught stealing a can of beer worth less than $2. The judge gave him probation, but said, "You've got to wear an ankle bracelet. It costs $400 a month."
And so the judge says, you're going to be locked up until you can arrange to have this leg monitor put on your ankle. And I'm thinking, that'll be never. I don't have the money. I absolutely don't have the money.
He didn't have the money because he'd been homeless until just before he stole that beer. And when Barrett couldn't keep up on what he owed for the bracelet, the judge sentenced him to jail for 12 months, not for stealing that can of beer, but for not paying those court fees. One of our biggest challenges was how to show court fines and fees were growing on a national level. So we picked some important fees and went through criminal codes state by state. And the numbers were striking. When someone goes to court, 53 states allow defendants to be charged at least that administrative fee to use a public defender. When someone goes to jail, 41 states allow them to be charged for room and board. In 44 states, they can be charged for probation or parole officer. And if you don't pay, you can go to jail, like Kyle DeWitt. He was sent to jail for 3 days after he didn't pay the fines he owed for catching a fish out of season.
DeWitt, this is C607947F. State of Michigan versus Kyle DeWitt. Are you Mr. DeWitt?
Yes, sir.
He thought he'd caught a rock bass, which was in season, but the Department of Natural Resources agent said it was a smallmouth bass, which was out of season. The fine plus fees added up to $155. He was 19, unemployed. He says he didn't have the money.
It was ridiculous because it was over a fish.
These fines and fees pile up. It's common for one defendant to owe several hundred, even thousands of dollars, like Stephen Papa. He was a homeless veteran back from Iraq. One day, he and some friends got drunk and broke into an abandoned building.
There was a hole broken in the window, so we went inside and then we got surrounded. And then we got arrested.
Papa speaks from the Kent County Jail in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He was sentenced to 22 days, not for what he did that day he was drunk, but because he couldn't pay his court debt. In a recording from the court session last September, Grand Rapids District Court Judge Benjamin Logan says he wants $50, but Papa had only $25.
Wrong answer. My expectation is $50, and I just sent 3 people to jail. Didn't happen.
The judge wanted a first payment on the $2,600 that Papa was charged in restitution, fines, and court fees. The judge said Papa could have made money by picking up cans to recycle.
My finances were like absolutely zero.
Pick up cans. Cut grass. You know?
Stephen Papa, this homeless Iraq vet, had just found the job days before he went to court. By the time he got out of jail, 3 weeks later, that job was gone.